Okay, so today I'm going to talk about bulkheads. Now, I'm not good at this stuff, so if I fumble and bumble, well, you just have to deal with that. Okay, so this is a bulkhead that came with my Fiji cube. Now, if you can see right here, right there, is a big bump, like a big piece of slag that was left over from the manufacturing process. Now, this is something that your rubber seal isn't going to last long with. So, that's something that needs to be taken care of. Usually you could take care of that. You start with a razor blade, kind of shave it off by hand. Try not to go too deep. And then you want to use a piece of 220 grit sandpaper to sand it out smooth. Now, if we take a look at the other end of the bulkhead, right here, right there we have another seam right there, kind of like there's a ridge. You can see it right there. That will also need to be sanded off because a little bit of water can slip by that, and your tank will be up for a couple months, and the next thing you know, you start seeing salt down here. And that's usually more or less like a vapor-sized leak, something that's just barely getting by there. But, something you want to sand out. Another weak spot of bulkheads that may cause some leaks later on is you see where the seam is here. Well, if you look right up the side right there along that line, that is a seam that goes all the way down the thread. And it's on both sides. Both sides have a seam. Another long-term effect of some of these bulkheads is you can develop a crack along there because it's a really weak spot in the design. The best way to deal with that is, when you glue a piece in, you make sure you get all the way down to the rib, all the way down to the bottom right there. It will really help support this whole piece right here. Because I don't think the companies that produce these bulkheads expect us to do things like, slide a strainer in there or not glue on the inside of it. Because if you glue from both sides, it's pretty, and you take care of these sides right here, you pretty much have a bulkhead that'll last a long time. So you got to keep those things in mind. Sometimes when I only get a slip on the outside but not the inside, a big portion of this bulkhead will be taken up by the nut and the gasket. But the nuts aren't really tight. I mean, you can rely on the nut to kind of hold it and give you the support on this end that you need, but the nut's really not going to pull that off because it moves up and down. It's not a very tight fit. It's not a close tolerance in there. So sometimes I will put the gasket on, and if there's enough visible thread, I might wrap a couple wire ties around it, tighten it real hard, and just leave it like that and hope for the best. Now, there are other things you have to watch with your bulkheads also. I have a few examples here. This bulkhead right here, wow. I mean, if you can see, right in this area right here, wow, look at that. It's all rippled. I mean, that is rippled. Even on the other side, it happened to both sides. See the big rippling there? Yeah, that's going to be a leak. It's going to be a leak unless you silicone it. In my opinion, this bulkhead is not usable. All right, here's one of the half-inch bulkheads that I finished. It looked very similar to the first one I showed you right here with the big piece of slag on it. And you see right now, it's all smooth, all the way around. I cleaned the slag off of it and I sanded it down until, I couldn't see much anymore. This is going to give me a nice solid seal. Now there's other problems too. Let's look at this bulkhead over here. It's another bulkhead. I ordered all these for my build, and this is what I get. I got to play with every single bulkhead. All right, you see right here. This here I don't know if you can, how close I can get it. But it's a dip right there. It's actually a dip. You know, that's a problem. Because here's another one I found with a dip. Surprise. You know, something else I got to play with. And if you look, I sanded this one, and the dip is still there. You know, there's only so much sanding you can do, you know. I mean, you can't sand it to the point where you got a big dip all the way across here from trying to sand just that one part out. What you'll end up doing is getting a big, long dip. So the only way you're going to be able to use this is if you dab some you know, silicone on it, RTV, aquarium sealant. You don't have to seal around the whole thing, but you definitely want to get a drop of it on there if you plan on using a bulkhead in this condition. Now, these problems aren't just bulkheads, you know. Here's one of my unions, you know, and you look at that, you look at that surface real fast, see how glassy it is, you know. It looks nice, right? But no, look, there's a seam. And it's right there. And my little scribe here is actually bumping across it. That's something else you want to sand out. I mean, it almost looks like a perfect sealing surface. It's nice and glassy. I mean, that'll seal for a long time. But, you know, this one's minor. But, you know, a couple little passes with the sandpaper there, and that seam's gone. But some of these can get really bad, you know, from union to union. I got lucky on this time, you know, because all my unions are in great shape in that department. So only a couple passes with the sandpaper will be needed. So that's about it, you know. It's how to prevent leaks and get like long-term good effects, you know. I see the posts on the forums all the time about, hey, my bulkhead's leaking, what can I do? You fix your leak before you put the bulkhead on. In other words, you're not going to have any leaks, you know. So if this video can help some people out there, you know, make a better build, do a better job, or maybe even if a bulkhead company sees this video, who knows, maybe they might do a little better quality control. Because I'm telling you now, 3 out of the 10 bulkheads that I purchased, I'm not going to use. So, you know, I'm glad I could help, and I hope it helps someone out there. And you guys have a good day. Thanks.